Hello everyone and welcome back to Killershrewfan's 12 Days of Reviews. I'm gonna be a straight shooter with y'all. I've kind of run out of steam. Not that I'm not going to do the last few days of reviews for you guys, because I have got some figures planned for the next few days of Killershrewfan's 12 Days of Reviews, so don't worry about that. It's just that I have been reviewing some of the hottest dinosaur toys, in my opinion, of, 2018 and just in general up until today. But now I've kind of run out of steam. I am not entirely sure what to do with this review. And then, it came to me. Last year, I took a look at a old world Schleich figure. And I figured, why not make that a tradition of Killershrewfan's 12 Days of Review? So each year we take a look at a different goofy Schleich figure, until we're out of goofy Schleich figures, then we just move on to a different company and look at their goofy dinosaur figures. I thought that might be kind of fun. So on that note, today's review will of course be of the Schleich Ceratosaurus. This figure is from 1993, and it definitely shows, but even for 93 standards, this is pretty darn goofy looking, and honestly, if you want goofy Schleich figures, this one might just take the cake. It's just wicked, man. It doesn't even look like a dinosaur. It looks like a dragon that lost its wings, which is both amazing and depressing at the same time. I don't know what to say about this one. This is gonna be a fun review. We're gonna start off at the head and go from there, alright? Let's do this! So, starting off at the head here, as you can see, this thing is just really not that great. I mean, the only things that say Ceratosaurus about it are the brow horns and the nasal horn there. But beyond that, it is nearly unrecognizable as the dinosaur. The lower jaw is incredibly large, and the teeth in the open mouth are not even individually sculpted. They are individually painted to Schleich's credit, but they're not individually sculpted, and the eye is just this goofy orange eye with a black dot. Moving down the neck, you can see some good wrinkling going on as the creature cranes its head upwards, and once you hit the midsection, there's a good indication of the shoulder blade, and some good wrinkling down around the thigh region there. But in terms of the rest of the texture, it's not really scales, but it's not really not scales. It's just this weird sort of cracked earth drying mud sort of look. And then you've got some dorsal spines going on that start at the base of the neck and proceed all the way down to the start of the tail there. And as you can see, the sort of cracked mud texturing continues all the way down to the tip of the tail in the back there, which, might I add, is used as a fourth point of standing. Even though this is this thing is in a quadrupedal pose, they still felt the needs to give it a drooping tail for support. Moving back up the opposite side, it's really the same story in terms of the detailing, the sort of weird, scaly mud kind of feel with some nice wrinkling and bags of skin going on around the thigh and the shoulder blade there. And then you come back up to that goofy, thick head. It looks like Ron Perlman as a dinosaur, honestly. Taking a look at the hands of this thing, they feel way too small for this bulky creature. Unfortunately, you can't really see just how small they are because my review space kind of blocks them in, and the musculature in the arm is not even that apparent. It looks like sausages. The back legs are a little bit better, the feet are bigger, the toe claws are painted, and there is some musculature going on in there, and they do feel better proportioned. But in comparison to some other figures, it's just not good. It's really not. It's everything that is wrong with dinosaur models in one Schleich figure. And while I'm on the topic of the overall proportions with the legs and everything, I mentioned that the arms were too small to carry the bulk. I mean, just look at how bulky this thing is. This thing is so incredibly thick. It's like I mean, I love dinosaurs that have a little bulk to them, but even this feels ridiculous. The head is so tiny on that fat body, and looking at it from the front, you can see the eyes aren't even sculpted in the same plane. That, oh my god, this thing is just riddled with problems. I will say that I don't mind the pose on it, though. I mean, it's pretty goofy and it's unattainable for Ceratosaurus, but it is sort of like a retro Indominus Rex pose, which I think is kind of cool. But even with that out of the way, it's still unappealing because it just looks so, like, plump and goofy with it. It doesn't look active. It doesn't look like it's crouching down, letting out a ferocious roar. It just looks like it's just sitting there. And that is unfortunately not good. As far as the color scheme goes, it's basically what Schleich was known for in the time. It's just browns on top of other browns with some greens thrown in there. To Schleich's credit, it does gradiate nicely from color to color, but unfortunately, the colors that they chose to do and the way they've applied it just give this thing a thrilling shade of mud. Now, as far as the overall size on this Schleich model goes, we're going to go ahead and bring in our trusty dusty tape measure and give you guys an official measurement. So from the tip of the tail to the front of the snout, you're looking at 8 3/4 inches, which is about 22.5 centimeters. And from the base all the way to the highest point, which is the haunches in this case, you're looking at just over 3 inches off the ground, which is about 7.5 centimeters. So kind of the average size for these olden Schleich theropods. We're going to go ahead and bring in a size comparison for you guys to hopefully give you a better idea of this Ceratosaurus' size. So first up, we're going to go ahead and bring in last year's Schleich Baryonyx, which we reviewed on the channel as part of Killershrewfan's 12 Days of Reviews. And you know, I said that was a goofy figure last year, but looking at these two side by side, that thing's like a masterpiece compared to this Ceratosaurus, which is a really bad sign. But yeah, as you can see, they are fairly similar in their overall size. The Ceratosaurus is obviously bulkier than the Baryonyx counterpart, but in terms of the overall length, they are definitely kind of in the same ballpark. But yeah, I don't know what it is about these old Schleich models, but they're just something else. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the new for 2017 Papo Ceratosaurus, just to show how far we have come when it comes to making dinosaur models. I mean, granted, this Schleich Ceratosaurus was out of date a lot, like, even after it was made, like, even when it was made, it was out of date. But just, you know, after all this time, look at how far we've come with Papo, with the likes of Papo and Safari. Schleich still kind of catching up, but yeah, this Papo Ceratosaurus is beautiful compared to this thing. And finally, for size comparison, we'll go ahead and bring in the recently reviewed Rorivore Ceratosaurus as a comparison if he'll stand for us. There you go. And you know it's a really bad sign when the Jurassic Park Ceratosaurus is a more accurate dinosaur than your Ceratosaurus. God, Schleich, come on, man. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for our look at the Schleich Ceratosaurus. Overall, this model is just the epitome of bad. It is so bad. It is everything that was wrong with dinosaur toys from, you know, a long time ago. I mean, even for the time this was released, it was still bad. If this was something from, like, you know, the 1930s or 40s, you know, maybe, but this thing came out in, like, 1993 or something like that, and, like, Safari Limited had a Ceratosaurus then that looked so much better than this. And it's just, I don't know what to say. It's just embarrassing. If you were to ask me for an overall rating on this thing, 3 out of 10. The only things that I like about it are the pose and the retro vibes of it. If you were to put a dinosaur toy like this in front of me as part of like a 2019-2018 lineup, it would get nothing. The fact that it is that sort of retro feel makes it somewhat acceptable to me. But as always, I would love to hear what you guys think of this model. Did you own it? Do you own it? What are your thoughts on Schleich's olden day dinosaurs? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed our review today, don't be afraid to let us know by hitting that like button. And don't forget to subscribe on the way out. Couple more days of Killershrewfan's Killer Toy Reviews coming your way shortly. Thanks again for tuning in, and that's going to do it for us today. Killershrewfan, out.